One of my interests in the world is India in the world. I think that we have Hindu nationalism in India, and that's how India is in the world. It's a little bit new, it's a little bit different from the world. I don't identify with India, I don't have favourable opinions of India, and I don't like India very much. But I think when it comes to its role and position in the world, it seems to be very engaged and present in the world at the moment, because America has strong foreign policy interests with India, and China as well, but in particular India. So I think that India is important in the world as a country, and I think that with this Indian role in the world and Indian interest, we have kind of an introduction and a presence of Hindu nationalism in the world, which kind of has a pagan theme, emphasis and culture. That's what Hindu nationalism, because it's Hindu, it's pagan. So I think that we do have kind of a situation and a condition in the world where there's modern day paganism with Hindu nationalism. I think that paganism was kind of wiped out 2,000 years ago, but we have kind of modern paganism in the world by a modern government, the Indian government. So it kind of disenfranchises from kind of modern governments in the world, because if you look at most modern governments in the world, they do care for the demands and expectations of the public and the people, and I think they do it reasonably well with all of the public services and that we get, with all of the public infrastructure that we have that have been built, with all of the transport and freedoms and equalities and liberties that we have as well. We enjoy those things. So we have that. We have law courts for public safety and legal protection as well. So we do have legal safeguards, rights and protections. So as members of the public and as people, we're relatively protected, and we're quite safe in the world, which is very nice to have, which is very nice to enjoy in the world. I think people do feel safe in the world generally, so it's good to have these protections, and I think that's quite good for modern government. I think that with some of the other countries, they could be perhaps catching up with their modern governments, but I think they primarily cater for modern governments as well. I think that India, with its Hindu nationalism, is kind of a little bit displaced and backward in the world, because it's not very modern as a government, being a pagan government, or a Hindu and a pagan government. So India is kind of a little bit backward, and it applies to much of India, including its public infrastructure. I don't think it has good roads or good health. I think it has poor housing and things. I think most of its streets are in poor conditions as well. If you look at what's in India, there's nothing much there. I think that its economy, if you look at its economy, I don't think it has. There's nothing much in its economy. I think that most of the Indian economy, despite it claiming to be being an advanced economy, I think that there isn't much in the Indian economy. I think it's very interested in call centres. It seems to be very enthusiastic about call centres. I think India is the call centre of the world. Most countries in the world use India as its call centre, and for its call centre services and things. So India has that interest in the world. I think primarily most of the Indian economy is kind of built on agriculture. I think that's kind of its subsistence as an economy, agriculture. I think it has 1 billion people as a population, so I think it's always interested and serious about feeding all of those people. So that's why agriculture is very important for kind of the security of India. And I think that also it's kind of focused on other traditional Indian industries that it's always had as a supply. So things like its leather and its other, I don't know what those industries are, but I think India has its own business industries which perhaps comprise 20% of its GDP. As an economic power in the world, I think it's engaged with some service sector kind of GDP growth as well. Not so much manufacturing as China is engaged with, but maybe service sector engagement with this industry. So I think it has a lot of its GDP growth coming from the service sector, but I don't think it's very well developed. So I think that's why there's no subsistence, there's no substance to the Indian economy. And I do feel that India is kind of misaligned from the world because it's very focused on its own cultural viewpoints in the world, not perhaps other countries' viewpoints in the world. I think it's just interested in its own cultural viewpoints, not other countries' viewpoints. So I think that's quite important. And I think it makes an unusual condition where perhaps we do have conditions of American democracy in the world that has perhaps an Indian flavour and an Indian democracy in the world that could be important for the rest of Asia and Indonesia and perhaps China and Burma and Cambodia and Vietnam. So I think that this Indian kind of American democracy, this Indian democracy is having some kind of democracy influence in the rest of Asia. So we do have some kind of India relationship with America that is kind of changing the environmental landscape of Asia. It's doing Aung San Suu Kyi as well in Burma, which is a neighbour of India. So we have that consideration. India is also very heavily invested and committed to Afghanistan and Iran as well. I think it's been doing it's been offering Afghanistan some kind of mineral interest. I think that's what India has been offering Afghanistan. And of course we have an issue with the Afghanistan war, so that's slightly contentious to offer these kind of mineral interests. It's kind of offering a lot of cash to Afghanistan as well, and I think it's propping up the Afghan government as well. So I think it has that interest with Afghanistan, and the same applies with Iran as well. I think India is very interested and enthusiastic and committed with investing in with committing to Iran as well. It has very close relations with Iran. It supports kind of like Iranian theocracy and Shiism in the world, perhaps because it could offset the balance with Sunni Islam in the world. So I think that India does have some kind of a Muslim interest with Iran and Shiism in the Muslim world, perhaps to deal with some of the challenges it has with the Muslim world. So I think that is quite important, because it creates situations like the Muslim Brotherhood of Egypt, kind of the liberal political interests we have in North Africa. It kind of creates a very liberal attitude in other Arab states as well, and Saudi Arabia. So it's kind of a soft political approach to things in Asia and the Muslim world. So I think America is very serious about its relationship with India. It's very committed with its relationship with India. I think it has been for the past 20 years, and for a long time. I think it's very friendly, and it has very friendly opinions about India. So I think that's one of the interests about America in the world. It's kind of interest and relationship with India in the world. And I think we are likely to see India as an influential friend of America in the world. And maybe in particular with perhaps a newly elected President Kamala Harris in the White House. She's half Indian as well, from an Indian mother. I think her mother is from India, in South Asia. So she's half Asian and half Indian as well. So she has a strong interest in India. And I think that interest in India has developed quite significantly over the past few years to become an important player in the world. So that's my view of India. Thank you.